Hey guys, good morning.
Hi guys, morning.
Hi, good morning everyone, and welcome to Cytron's webinar series. Right, it's mid-September, and I hope you're having a great week and a great morning as well. So today we have Mr. Ober here. He's our CTO from Cytron Technologies, and today he'll be sharing with you on his experience in 3D printing. I believe we have a few 3D printing sessions in the past, and we have different experts in here, also makers who share their experience in 3D printing. And today, Mr. Obo is going to share with us on his experience with an Ender 3 for the past few months. And I hope you enjoy this session. If you have no idea what is a 3D printer, we are going to cover that. And if you don't own a 3D printer, it's okay. This webinar is still for you. The whole objective of today's session is to make you feel comfortable with 3D printing, let you understand better about 3D printing, and also to answer your questions, all your questions about 3D printing. All right. Bear in mind that we are here to focus on the beginners and we are here to learn as well. So if you have questions, feel free to drop your comments. If you're in YouTube, drop your comments in the chat box on the right. And if you're in Facebook, you're watching us from Facebook, drop your comment in the comment section and we will get to you as soon as possible. Okay, good morning, guys. Hi, good morning. Thanks for
Good
joining in.
morning. Good morning. Yep.
All right, I think yeah, we got people coming in already.
Wow, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Keep the
Okay.
question coming in.
No questions yet. No questions yet. But welcome guys. Thanks for tuning in. And let's get started. I will go through the agenda for today first. A couple of points that we will cover today. Actually, a lot of things that we want to cover today. 3D printing is a big topic, and we only have 1 hour today, and we hope that we are able to cover as much as possible. So stay with us. All right. Don't get bored. If you get bored, ask us questions, and then we will pause, and then we will ask you. We will answer your questions, or else we'll be just talking to ourselves over here. Okay, so I'll begin the whole session by introducing to you what is 3D printer. All right, what is 3D printing? What are the existing 3D printing technologies? I won't talk about the history of 3D printing. I believe I've done that in the previous session. You can check on our YouTube channel, Cytron Tech, and learn more about the history of 3D printing and the more in depth of the future of 3D printing. So that is the Cytron series on our first few episodes are in the early session. So yep, I'll talk about what is 3D printing, and then later on I will move over and pass it to Mr. Ober. He will share with you his experience in Ender 3. Of course, he will also show you the Ender 3 setup, his 3D printer, all right, the function of the 3D printer, the parts of the 3D printer, how does it work, and later on we will go through a mini interview session, all right, mini Q&A session, where we ask ourselves a few questions that people frequently ask, and then we try to answer you based on our experience. And of course, if you're an experienced 3D printer user who are watching this session right now, we welcome you to answer as well these questions. Everyone have different answers for the questions that we are going to provide later. So that's under the tips and advice. That will take some time. And at the end of the session, we will share a bit on the application of 3D printing, what you can do with a 3D printer, what we have printed. We'll also show you some of the items that we have printed. Okay. And the end of the session, we will have a mini survey, and then we will take all your questions. We have a Q&A session if we have extra time. All right. So welcome again, and thank you for joining. So let's get started. Ober, are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
problem.
Great. Let's go. So 3D printing. Actually, this slide is from our previous Hari Raya 3D printing session where we actually built 3D printer and built a Pelita. So this is the Pelita model. It's designed in-house by Cytron. So we have our engineers, they design the whole thing from the digital model, and then we print it out into 3D printing objects. 3D printed objects, and we assemble it into an actual thing. But of course, we don't use oil and fire. We use LED. But 3D printing is basically an additive manufacturing process where it constructs a three-dimensional object from a digital model into an actual physical 3D model. All right. So it's a conversion between a digital 3D model, print out, and then you got a physical product. Simple as that, right? So if you want let's say if you want a casing, if you want a bottle, then you can draw it out on the software, on 3D modeling software, and then you print it out with a 3D printer. Then you got an actual physical stuff. So 3D printing allows us to do that. Right? It enables us to do that. It's not as simple as 20 years ago, where you want to print something easily and you have to use molding techniques. It's not as simple as what you can do from home. You have to use molding. You have to use more tedious methods. And today we have 3D printer, and 3D printer is very affordable and very accessible. So everyone can get to print their own stuff at home. It makes things easier in a way. A couple of 3D printing technologies out there. I'm just going to highlight the few famous ones, and I won't dwell into what are the 3D printing parts. Little Mr. Obo is going to cover that. But there are three different technologies that I would like to cover. The first is the FDM method, the FDM fused deposition modeling method, which is what we're going to show you later. It's basically 3D printing with a nozzle, with a heated nozzle. Means it's very hot, and then the filament melts on this nozzle, and then it goes layer by layer by layer until you print an object. Okay, that's the first method. The second method is known as the SLA, Stereolithography 3D printing method. It's also a very popular method in 3D printing. Right? It's, as you can see, it's not dry, it's wet. It involves with resins and liquid, so it's a bit messy, but the accuracy that you can print for your object is very accurate. It's very precise, and these two printers are actually very affordable these days. Okay, it's very, how to say, very commercialized, and it's very below 1,000 ringgit. So both have different advantage. One is dry, one is wet, and one can print fast, and one have very good precision. So I'm just gonna talk on the basic stuff of this 3D printer. Which 3D printer is for you? It's up to you to decide. But I can tell you that most of the people use FDM printer for beginners, and SLA printer you can print using resins, but it's usually used for figurines. People print figurines, small items, very precise items. The third technology is known as the selective laser sintering, SLS 3D printing. So it basically uses dust, and when the laser hits this dust, it forms a polymer. It combines this dust into a physical plastic layer. So it goes layer by layer by layer, and then the dust just keeps on adding and adding and adding. Again, it still goes layer by layer by layer. Right? But using laser allows better precision. You can create more precise object. I have seen an actual object that prints using this method before, and I can tell you the precision is beyond this world. It can print very complicated object patterns using this method, and you don't even need to pull or peel off any support or anything. No, you don't need any of those. You just use laser and then just go layer by layer. So this method is very expensive. It's not that commercialized yet, but it's mainly used for the industry to print strong objects, precise object for machineries. Okay, so that's that's my whole introduction for 3D printing, 3D technology, and what is 3D printer. And I'm gonna pass it back to Mr. Ober. He is gonna cover more on his ender tree. He's gonna show us the ender tree. Before we do that, let's see if you have any questions. Yeah. Okay. Right. So far we have no. Oh. Okay. Actually, you have one question already. Thanks. Great. From Farah. Okay. Obo, you see this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Farah. Will you
How to
discuss
take
how
care
you
of the
taking care of
film?
filament?
Yeah, sure. Can, no problem.
Yes. Yeah, we will discuss about this later during our
I think
questions Q&A
earlier,
there.
there are general question.
Let's see
Um,
how much. How
how
much this
much?
3D
Depend.
printer?
Maybe we talk about that. Depend. As Adrian said just now is around less than 1,000. But of course depend. It's like I think it's like transport also, right? If you buy a
Yeah.
car, the range can go a few
Yeah.
million also have. Then under 50K also have. So,
Yeah. We
but
will talk
then
more
now,
about that later. We will talk more about
yeah,
that, the pricing, which printer suitable for beginners, and then
yeah,
how you
yeah.
take care of your filament. All right, we will talk more about that at the
Yeah.
end later. But let's take a look at the 3D printer right now. All right, over. I'll pass it to you.
Can
I'll switch to your screen now.
uh,
Okay. Yeah.
so Adrian, can you go back to the question? Can I remember the question? Let me see.
Okay.
Can I can go back to the question. Oh, we have a picture first. Let's talk about the printer lah. Generally.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
let's go through the.
So basically, this is Ender 3. You guys can hear me, right? The audio okay, right?
Can.
Okay. So this is Ender 3. So I have Ender 3. I think 1 month or 2 months ago lah. I get it because I like printing it lah. So let's look at the parts or the compartment or the different section of 3D printing lah. So this is Ender 3, and this is I think this is Ender 3 Pro, because if you look at the profile and also the magnetic build bit, okay. So we have what the most important is this one, the nozzle, okay, the nozzle at the center where you have the vase, right? So the nozzle is the one that do the FDM, print the filament, then layer by layer, then it construct your 3D printed parts. Okay. Then below it you have a heated bed. Why heated bed? Because you are printing plastic. So depending on what kind of filament you use, the bed, the temperature of the bed, you need to set differently. For example, the most common one, PLA. I've been using PLA since the beginning. I never use ABS yet. So I think PLA is a very good start for beginner, and it's very popular also. So in case you have problem, right, many of us also have the same problem, so we can help you. Okay. So for PLA, the heated bed normally is like 50, 60, around that. But if you print ABS, it might go above 100 degrees Celsius. So just imagine your bed is over 100 degrees Celsius. You can simply accidentally touch it, then you burn your finger. Okay. So of course, another part that you might need to be careful is the nozzle. So the nozzle normally is 200, above 200 or around 200 degrees Celsius. Degrees Celsius is above the what? In Malay we call it what? The taka dide, If you put water boil already. Okay. So then next to the nozzle, you have an extruder, right? So extruder, the function of extruder is to push the filament out to the nozzle. So the nozzle is basically to melt the filament, okay, then put the filament onto the 3D printed parts. So the extruder is the one that push filament. Okay. Then you have motherboard at the bottom. Then at the other side, you have the LCD control panel. So depending on what model, but for Ender 3, you have a LCD and a knob. So the knob is for you to navigate through your menu. For example, you want to print, you want to set temperature, you want to move the X and Y. Okay. And lastly, you have a power supply. Okay. So normally to get started, of course, here we simplify a lot. If you have assembled the 3D printer, Then just make sure the power is correct, power up. You put in the micro SD card with the G code. I think a lot of people beginner confused is between what kind of things you need to put inside your SD card. So SD card is just a storage, right? Let me get an SD card. For those that don't know, okay. Let me get an SD card. So for example, this SD card. This maker this 32 GB. I think it's quite common. Everyone should know it. Maybe your phone also have this. So you put G code. G code is basically the machine code. So later I'll talk about this. I also confused about STL file, G code file. Then it comes with firmware. Later, all these files become confused already. But anyway, now I know. The G code is the machine code after you slide it. Okay, you use the slicer software, you slide it, and basically the machine code tell the printer on the controller to move the X, Y, Z, then the nozzle, extruder basically the extruder, how much to ooze out, to push out, and to pull is retract okay. So you put the G code inside the SD card, then you navigate through the Nook, select the G code that you want to print, then you can print, then you wait sometimes you wait that one is quite standard you wait what for you wait because you need to heat up the bed. The bed doesn't always heat up because you don't need to print then also the nozzle. So if it's ideal, right, it doesn't power up it doesn't heat up the bed and also the nozzle. So that's why after we select the G code, it will heat up the bed and also the nozzle. Then that is the waiting time around maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. Then you put in the filament. Then let the printer, the extruder will push the filament or retract the filament according to the G code. Okay. So that's the ender tree. Then let's move on. Any question before we move to the other side?
Actually, we have one, but it's not related to the basic, but it's still somewhere about materials. About
material. TPU basically, yeah. TPU is one type of filament. Okay. So for beginner, we have a lot of different kind of filament. Filament basically is the cartridge for the printer, for 3D printer. So if you know normal paper printer, we have cartridge, right? So if it's normal one, you have black color only because your paper is white. Okay. But if it's color, then you have different color cartridge. So same for 3D printer. Beside the color, you have different type of filament. So TPU is those which is flexible.
Yeah.
The phone cover normally.
Yeah.
This kind of phone cover. This one. TPU. Can Ender 3 accept TPU? Can. Can, but a lot of setting you need to do. You cannot print too fast also.
Yeah. And you need to print extra to prevent your filament because it's very flexible. So it will come out anywhere. So you need to cover everywhere to prevent it from coming out. Yes, you can.
You can
print TPU,
but not directly. Just change. Okay, not directly.
Actually, Ender 3 can print many types of material. The temperature covers a lot of material.
Yep.
So yeah, you can.
But anyway, for beginner, start with PLA.
Yeah.
Beginner start with PLA.
Yeah.
You can try later on.
Yeah. The material is like different level. PLA is beginner,
yes.
And then ABS is like intermediate to advanced. TPU is.
I still remember. I think 10 years ago, when we heard about 3D printing, they started to become available in the market, but it's not as accessible as now. 10 years ago, it started with ABS only, and it's very difficult. ABS, very difficult. PLA is sometime around 5 or 7 years ago. PLA, then it start to come out, then become, because ABS is widely used in commercial. ABS is really our plastic. If you look at those plastic mold, things like that, those parts are ABS. It's very strong. You can put outdoor, very have a very strong resisting to UV light, things like that, sunlight. But it's not biodegradable. So it's not environmentally friendly. So they changed to PLA.
Yeah, it produce more toxic fume.
Yeah, another point. ABS, you need to have a very good ventilation to print it. Then you need to have special enclosure to maintain the temperature, because the temperature requirement is quite sensitive.
Yeah.
So that's filament. Okay.
Okay. We have one more question. Right,
Whoa,
before I proceed.
okay.
What is the QR code?
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
I
On the
think
3D
they're
printer.
asking this one. You can change to my screen.
Okay.
This one, I think. This one, right?
Yes. Yes.
This one is go to. I think it's go. If you scan it, you go to Creality site.
Website.
I can remember.
Yeah, it goes to Creality website. It's
Creality
printer
is the manufacturer. For your
Mm.
information, for those that don't know, Creality is the manufacturer. Okay. So let's move back to the slide.
All right.
So what's the next slide? Yeah.
All right. Now we move into our FAQ. Right. This
Okay.
will take a longer time, but we try to answer the questions one by one. We have a lot of questions, and as we go through, Obo will also show some of these printed parts. Like so many. Yeah, you guys saw the parts already just now. So many prints. Yeah, he have a lot of things he want to show. So
I
first
like to share.
question.
Yeah.
First question: is it difficult to learn 3D printing?
I will not say difficult or easy if you have interest. If I look at the comment, a lot of interested people inside here. Some are students, haven't get a 3D printer but have been joining our webinar about 3D printing for a very long time. I'll not say easy or hard. If for example, if you like if you like to ride bicycle, first, I have a little girl, a daughter. She haven't know how to ride bicycle, but I think those kind of interest or passion that drive you. Because for some, those that don't know how to ride bicycle or ride motorbike, will never know. And those that like, we will definitely fall, right? 100% will definitely fall one. Okay, so then for example, I I like swimming also. So who don't really it's like your nose the water go in your nose, sometimes you choke, things like that will happen, right? So it's like 3D printing also. I like it. I want to print because I look at people print. A few years ago we have been carrying 3D printer but a few years ago when I saw people post the auto lapse, auto lapse, time lapse of the 3D printing part. Wow, I like it a lot, and I can spend a lot of hours looking at it, and I also watch them print practical stuff for their daily life, solve daily life, and I like to make things. So from time to time, I face, I don't have this, I don't have that. 3D printing can solve that. So the difficulty part is like when you learn to ride bicycle, when you learn to swim, definitely there will be difficulty. But if you have passion, definitely you go through it. So I will not say easy or difficult, but if you like, I'm sure you will get through it. And now is the best time, why? It's the best time to learn if you want. That's why I said if you have interest, because the content is I know so many, it's so much, uncountable. If you go YouTube, you join a webinar, Adrian have a lot of series already about 3D printer. Last year I did another one with Cikgu Gore. Last year or early of this year, I can remember. Last year, I think last year. Or early of this year, I did another one with Cikgu Gore. Yeah, that one is after I assemble a Ender 3 V2 for company lah at the time. But this now I own a Ender 3. I assemble it as myself, then I put it in my home. Okay, so I have been printing the Ender 3 is at my working from home at my site. So I've been printing it for like working hours almost 12 10. So actually my wife is bugging me now, don't print because it's too noisy. I say I sit beside the 3D printer, then I don't feel noisy. They cannot take it. Some of them.
You need to introduce silent board.
Yeah, silent board. So let me share some of the picture. So what difficult or not? I don't think it's difficult. Let me share some assembly. So this is inside our lab. This is Ender 3 also. This is Among Us, for those that don't know. Among Us. I don't print this one. It's from my colleague. But you can print all this. You don't need to. This one is from Adrian. So this is Among Us, the model. This is on the bed. Ender 3 also, for those that recognize. This is lithophane. We did it for Raya this year. You see, lithophane. So if you look at it, you cannot see anything. If you don't shine a light there, if you put a light inside there, this is white color light. This is yellow color. And things like that. So this is during when we do experiment. Then I think a month or 2 months ago, 1.5 months, I decided to get the Ender 3 back. So this is the process. I took the picture inside the box. It's now Ender 3, not Ender 3. A lot of printer is well packed. But you guys need to understand a lot of this doesn't come pre-assembled. We call it maybe partially assembled. You don't need to assemble the base, but the top where you see the Z and X is moving, the part you need to assemble it yourself. But it's nicely packed with the sponge, everything to protect during the shipment. Okay, so you have the power supply. Then I need to highlight this because we have a lot of customer or user beginner. We don't really blame them. The power supply for our country, for example, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand is actually 230 volt AC. Don't follow other, for example, US, they are using 115 or 110. So they will need to switch it. Don't go gatai. Go and switch, then power on, because most of the video is for US. Ours is 230. This is extruder. So this is from top. So all this picture, just now, the Ender 3 is taken in my home. So you might see different kind of furniture.
Is the setup difficult now? Is it?
Not really because you have a guide, a very clear user guide, and then of course, as I said, a lot of content on the YouTube. I actually look at the guide, then in the meantime, I also look at YouTube. So you might need to spend some time to study but the assembly itself will take less than 1 hour. Okay. Last year I did live assembly with Cikgu Go. He took 1 hour plus. And he is actually a first timer. It's not like he had been doing 3D printer for how many years. Okay. So that's the thing. Let me close one of my ding dong always bugging.
Okay,
So this
I think we have some questions from the floor. Okay, over here, right, from Farah. What software you
Ah,
use to design the 3D model?
this is another point we will cover it later on about software.
Mm-hmm.
But for your information, I have never designed a 3D model yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I have been printing a lot. You see, if you notice.
Yeah.
So this is another doubts that beginner afraid of. Hey, I need to learn this software. I need to learn this software to
Mhm.
get started. No, actually no. A lot of people actually is have been designing those model for us to print. So those just now that Adrian showed, this one, let me see back.
Yeah,
This
I think
one,
no. Uh-huh.
all this model, I didn't design it, and it's a free model. You can download and print it yourself. All this, this is SD card. I use a lot of SD card, so I print the SD card holder lah. All three. There, you know, the dinosaur, the Among Us, even the Among Us that I showed just now. All those are designed by others. Have I didn't design those, so the credit goes to them. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically you don't really need to know how to design your own 3D model to get a 3D
Yep.
printer, right?
To
It
get started
doesn't,
lah.
yeah.
Yeah, to get started.
But
Oh.
you will need to learn how to use a slicer
Slicer lah,
for
slicer.
3D printing. Yeah.
Slicer. I also there's a lot of content also lah in the YouTube.
Hmm. Okay, let's see. I think we have one more question.
Come,
One
come.
more.
While sharing some of the photo lah. Ziad, yes.
Function
What
of
is the function of
extruder.
extruder? Just to know. Extruder is to extrude. Extrude mean you know when we talk about this another maybe another term lah. Let me know the brightness. This one aluminium profile. This is aluminium profile. In manufacturing, they call extrude the aluminium profile. Is to push out the aluminium when they melt it. Then you have a mold. Then after the mold, the aluminium profile will come up like this shape. Okay, so that process is also called extrude. So for 3D printer, is to extrude the filament here. This is filament. Let me show the filament spool at the top here. This is the spool. Okay. Then you put in extruder. Extruder function is to push the filament through the PTFE tube or Bowden tube. Sometimes we call it Bowden tube to the hot end. So this is a hot end. And this part is not really hot lah because you have a fan here. There's a heat break over there lah. And the bottom part is the nozzle lah. Maybe I try to push up a bit. They cannot see the nozzle.
I think you have photos, right? A closer photo of the extruder.
Maybe yeah, maybe I have photo.
Yeah. Let's see.
Maybe. So this is during assembly lah. We'll go through that. All the parts. So you need to assemble the top part lah. Power supply. This is the two pole at the side. Let me see. So during assembly, so you have a manual there. Every 3D printer, Ender 3, Ender 3 Pro, Ender 3 V2, you have a manual. So basically, I follow manual, then I search for some of the YouTube before I assemble. So I get some idea with this.
It's like IKEA. It's like IKEA.
And it's like
Just
IKEA,
follow.
yes. Of course, it's not as easy as IKEA if you look at the parts, right? There's a more part. You involve electronics and also mechanical. But don't be afraid.
Yeah.
So this is the extruder lah. Extruder. So this is during when I want to assemble the extruder with the filament PTFE tube lah. Let me see. I can. So this is the hot end. Extruder is over here. Go to here lah. So I haven't connect the PTFE tube. This is the Z axis. Z axis. This is my daughter actually helping me. So this is the Z axis, the rod, linear rod. the spool holder, a power supply again, reminder. This is the PTF tube. Let me see. This is the SD card lah. So the SD card again, reminder.
Again.
This is my workspace. I work here at my home. Then the 3D printer is just my side only. My side. Okay. So bottom here. So this is we call it hot end assembly lah. So bottom here you have a nozzle lah. I don't know. I capture a nozzle lah. Bottom here. So the nozzle will melt the filament. Then the extruder will actually push the filament or retract. Retract means pull back. Okay. So this is the G code inside the SD card that come with the 3D printer. So you can actually directly print after you assemble, power up, then you just put in the SD card. You choose a few G code. I think there are 3 G code inside there. This is one. This is the cat. This now is the dog. If you look at the details, it's quite nice. If you can read Mandarin, this is 招财进宝. Of course, there are some stringing. I haven't tuned it. Okay. Stringing means you have like a string, the filament. Okay, but the detail is quite good. Then so this is more to upgrade. It's more to upgrade. Let's go back to any question. So that's my experience assembler, the Ender 3. I think together with my daughter, we take around 1 hour lah. Less than 1 hour. Less than 1 hour.
I think it's not very, it's not very intimidating. So far, I've seen schools, they also set up their own 3D printer.
Yeah. We have actually seen a lot of YouTube that show kids actually assemble it. It's like primary school kid, not secondary, Yeah. So I'm not saying that secondary cannot do, but just to say that primary also can assemble it.
You don't need an engineering degree to.
Yeah, definitely. It's not like getting a pilot, to fly a plane, or even to ride a motor, you need a license, or drive car, you need a license. Now you don't need a license to 3D print, you don't really need one. So anyone can get it.
Yeah. Well, let's proceed with our questions. We have a lot of questions. We have 20 minutes left. Okay, continue on. How long does it take you to learn 3D printing?
I have been looking for 3D printing topic for quite some time already. But to really hands-on it is less than 1 month actually. To really hands-on like just now, the same night after I assemble, just put in the SD card, then I start printing the dog, the black color dog just now. So it's like less than 2 hours I get a dog already. And of course along the time I keep improving. Then I learn about slicing, slicer. I download Cura. Then I haven't finished learning. For example, just now I haven't designed a model yet. So if you ask me how long it takes, maybe 2 hours, so I can start printing already. Then after that, I go to Thingiverse, download a lot of model. Then I go to YouTube. I check, what kind of things that other people print. If you look at, I have actually a roller over here. Then I have another, the parts folder over here. There's a roller over here. So all these things, then I have small click all this. So all these things I download from Thingiverse, then I print. So if you look at it, I don't even learn how to design yet, but so many things I can print already. So it's very flexible. Flexible. you don't need to follow a trend or a syllabus to 3D print. And is enough for me. Those model that people do is enough for me. Then from time to time, I can learn how to design. Then I can design a solution for myself. For example, just now when I do this, when I do this project or I create something, I lack of this kind of mechanical parts. Then I can design myself, right?
Yeah. I think it's a long-term thing. It's you keep
Yeah,
on learning more and more stuff. I think some of the problems Mr. Obo haven't faced yet. It
yeah.
always surprise you.
Definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
All right, let's continue with the next question. Hey, guys, if you want to share your answers on our FAQs, right, go ahead. If you have experience, go ahead and share your answers. I think we have one comment over here, like
The
from
hustle is
Edward.
always the calibration and alignment of the hot plate. Oh,
The
okay, hot plate.
leveling.
This one. This one.
Yeah,
Uh, that one. You need to learn. Yeah, you need to learn.
yeah,
Then be patient with it. Oh,
yeah,
this is one of the most important, fundamental, essential kind of thing.
yeah,
We call it leveling the bit. Oh,
yeah. So it's assembling is one thing lah. Later on, calibrating, tuning to the right,
Tu-
settings for your printer.
yeah. Tuning until now, I haven't finished tuning this printer. For example, the
It
stringing is
take
still there,
forever.
but I can live with it lah. The stringing, you just use the sandpaper. This one doesn't have stringing at all. This one is very
No
nice to
place to
go.
string. No place to string. This
No
one.
place to bring. Maybe at the
Yeah,
tip here, a bit only lah, a
yeah,
bit only.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay, let's see one more question. If we already got the 3D model, what kind of difficulties we might face doing the 3D printing?
uh,
Already got 3D model.
you just slide it lah. But maybe some of the, but the slicer nowadays should be intelligent enough to give you all the support, to build up the support that the printer need. Different kind of printer will need different kind of support lah. For example, just now Adrian talk about SLA. Then SLA will have different kind of support also. FDM will have different kind of support. Then where you print it, where you angle it, will need different kind of support lah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the next step is to decide how you want to print your stuff, how fast you want to print, how nice you want to print,
Yeah.
the quality
That
issue.
one, it become a branches to
Yeah.
the journey lah.
Yeah.
I want to go to very accurate. I want to go to fast. I want to automate it. I want to print bulk. One whole night. I want to print 100. I don't want to take care of it. I just blah, 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 like manufacturing.
Yeah.
That kind of things.
So different challenges.
Yeah. Let's look at what question we have.
Okay. Where can I learn more about 3D printing? We
For
have a
me,
lot of
YouTube.
questions.
Yeah, for me,
YouTube.
YouTube lah. YouTube. YouTube, then internet lah. Internet, you have a lot of articles. I went through a lot of, for example, YouTube, a lot of influencer, not influencer, YouTuber lah. They actually teach a lot of useful techniques, knowledge. Even some of them is they actually go and study the boards, the firmware, the mechanical structures. They do research on filament type, the strength of filament, how to print. Just now the question PTU, TPU, things like that. You need to tune. They it's very good content. Yeah.
I think particularly you look at the model of the 3D printer, right? Like Ender 3, they have more videos about Ender 3.
And Ender 3 have more because Ender 3 actually from Quality is the first 3D printer that open source. Open source everything, they open it, even from the board until the mechanical part. Open source means you can get the mechanical file, mechanical dimension, and if you have the tools, you can build it yourself. Yeah, even the board, then the firmware is actually Marlin at that time. So everything they open, then this I think 2 or 3 years ago, they sell it at quite affordable price at that time lah.
Yeah.
And then it became a whole world kind of 3D printing, 3D printer become popular, and 3. Then now Ender 3 become more popular because of the price drop lah. The
Yeah.
price become very affordable. Then if you look at the content, Ender 3 inside YouTube or internet lah, is the top. You have the most content about 3D printer is actually the Ender 3.
Yeah.
So don't worry about getting problem. Most likely you get a solution from internet. Of course, you can ask around also lah.
I think most likely someone faced the problem before already.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, we have one question here again, right, from Mr. Lim. Can third-party
Yeah,
3D
Mr. Lim.
software be used?
What kind of third-party 3D software? And you talk about 3D software, is like the design, right? Let's talk about the design. Design normally we use what? If you want to go free one is Tinkercad. Tinkercad can design. Fusion 360 got free version, but it's online. Tinkercad also online. Then
SketchUp.
SketchUp.
Yeah.
Then SolidWorks. I think AutoCAD also can. But those are you need to pay lah. Those some free, some need to pay lah. So to design the 3D model, you have a lot of software that you can use lah. Because 3D model have been around for some time. Before we have 3D printer, we need to design mechanical parts for mold, for phone, for your laptop, anything that need the 3D parts. They need the software to design. Those software can use to design 3D model. You get the STL file, then you go to slicer. Slicer is to basically turn the 3D model for the FDM printer that you choose. So inside slicer, you need to determine what 3D printer you want to use, right? But when you design the 3D model, you don't need to care about the printer, okay? You don't need to care about printer. You just design the 3D model, okay?
Yeah.
So can you can use.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it can export STL.
Yeah.
I think most of it can lah, right? They got add-ons, things like that.
I don't know who cannot lah. Which software cannot?
Yeah, mostly can. Okay, next question. Should I be worried about maintenance?
From time to time, you still need to maintain but I think it's quite basic So whether to make sure it's clean, then what else? I think I cleaned the extruder before. I changed the spring on this one. I changed the spring because the stock spring can use. It can use, but it's a bit soft So from time to time, you need to level it Just now, one of the viewer actually comment about the challenge of to calibrate the bit, right? So if you don't want to always calibrate your bit, then you change to a stronger spring. This yellow spring is actually quite strong. So basically, you just change it. Then after I change, I only adjusted once. I changed the bit, the spring over here. Maybe you can see because it's quite blur. 4 spring under the bit. Then this is after I change the spring, level the bit. Then I print a bed leveling test printer. So if it print nicely like this, then your bed level is good. Okay. Then another
basically
print
maintenance. It's not really like you don't have to maintain all the time. You just need to keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
Because it's a machine, right? Do we need like grease or do we need to?
No, the only grease that I put is the rod, the Z axis. Then from time to time, the lower over here. Let me just share the lower. This lower. And the bottom. Move there's roller. Then you just clean it using a toothbrush. Just I got a toothbrush. This one I get it from don't know where. I think I go travel inside a hotel. Just take it back.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's quite minimum lah. It's not as tedious as maybe getting a car or motorbike. You need to change oil frequently, engine oil. Uh, I don't think it go to that extent. But of course, some people actually will maintain it nicely, enclose it after every print, clean it up, vacuum. So it can go to that extent lah. But for me, I didn't do that lah.
There's a minimum lah, at least like clean lah, keep it dust
Yeah, clean it.
free, make
Yeah.
sure the nozzle doesn't stuck.
Then filament. Maybe we talk about filament. Filament, you actually need to, if you don't really print it frequently, you need to make sure doesn't expose to moisture for too long.
Yeah, I
Oh.
think that's one of the questions just now, right? How to maintain, how to take care. Let's continue first. I think we have got one question about that also. Which 3D printer would you recommend for a beginner? I think we covered this, right?
Non-engineer. Yeah, I think we covered this.
Yeah.
Looking at the budget lah, because a lot of beginners, some you don't want to do this assembly or a lot of hassle. Or work can do it, but I don't want to do it. I don't have the passion. Then you can find those pre-assemble or very easy to assemble one, partially assemble. But then that one might cost a little bit more lah. Then for beginner, if you don't have budget, your budget is low, I would say Ender 3, because Ender 3 the price just dropped, then become a lot of people actually get it, a lot of school actually get it, a lot of students also get it.
So far, there's no printer like fully assembled.
So far, maybe the small one. Maybe the small one.
The Maker Pi, the small one. Okay lah.
Yeah, maybe the small, very small one. Yeah.
Oh, we got one question. More technical one, but the metal part easily oxidized?
You're asking about the 3D printer metal part or the after print, metal 3D printer? I don't think now. I think it's the metal part of the 3D printer.
Yeah. Coated lah. I think
it's coated. For example, this is aluminium profile. This is aluminium. This is aluminium. So aluminium then is coated already. So don't worry about the become rusty or oxidized things like that. This is metal. The struct. The struct. The cover.
He's asking about 3D parts. 3D parts.
3D parts. We haven't tried metal 3D printing. We haven't tried. There are in industry, but the 3D printer to print metal part is quite expensive now. Okay, still expensive. Maybe 5 years from now, you can get cheaper. And as we know, metal part to print it, you need to melt it, right? And metal, the temperature to melt metal is much more higher compared to plastic. So that's why we start with plastic. Even plastic, you have different kind of melting point. PLA is one of the low melting point, 200 degrees Celsius. If you print ABS, become higher, 240, 250.
The temperature for example, this 3D printer is around 250 maximum, 260 maximum. Can't go any higher, so you can't really print metal also.
Yeah. Metal, I think you need to go around 1,000 already, depending on the metal.
Not home safe anymore.
It's not home safe anymore. Actually, I'm quite comfortable with the Ender 3 or this kind of printer. I have my daughter is just 6 years old, so her workstation, so-called workstation, is next to mine only. Next to mine. So I've been telling her, hey, don't touch this part. Don't touch. The bed, she touched before. I said, oh, very hot. I said, but it doesn't burn her yet. So it's still okay because it's 60 only. But the nozzle will burn, so just be careful with the nozzle. So I told her when I'm printing it's 200 degrees Celsius, 195, 190. So don't go and touch that. Then from there she also learned, okay, don't touch that. I think it's good education.
Yeah. Actually, it's good lah. The nozzle is at the very non-touchable area. Like no
Yeah,
one will really go and use their finger and like that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's also
Maybe
good.
some naughty student, maybe lah.
Need to scare them. Okay. Number six, we have a few more questions. We have 5 more minutes. Where or who should I get my 3D printer from?
This one you get it from local I would say those that can give you support Yeah, as we know, a lot of beginner want to try to but actually last week I share some of my printing part. I cannot remember. I think I share among us to my ex classmate old classmate some of them the mother, father want to try. So I said, they said, hey, where can I get it from? I said, get it from local, of course, because if you guys don't know, then to be safe, uh, you need support. Then you get it from local, right?
Yeah.
Then get it from Cyclone. Can also we have actually a group Telegram group later. Adrian will share. So we have been helping a lot of beginner. Just post your question. Sometimes you take picture, sometimes you take video. I myself also take video. Then I post to hopefully to solve their problem. Right.
Actually, getting from local because it's safer the when you change warranty stuff. If you get from
Yeah, yeah.
China, right? You can still get from China, right? Directly, can right?
You can still, for example, AliExpress Banggood they can still get. But of course, the shipping is one thing, and then the support let's say, if you're expert, then that's different story. But if you are beginner, I'm sure some of the parts you don't know. For example, the power supply, we have a few user. The power supply blow. Where to get the
Yeah,
replacement for the power supply.
yeah, it's much more challenging. Okay, all right.
Yep.
I think yeah, we reached the material question already. Should I be
Okay.
concerned about 3D printing material?
Uh, as I said earlier, start with PLA lah. PLA doesn't doesn't produce dangerous film. I think the odor also.
Mm.
I cannot really smell anything because the printer is just beside me. But of course, when you go to let's say PETG, PTEG, TPU, then ABS is well known to produce smelly fume.
You get dizzy, like you get nauseous if you smell too much.
Uh,
I accidentally smell too much one time when I
uh,
was printing ABS.
ventilation. Make sure ventilation. So
You
even
get
I
dizzy.
print, yeah, even I print PLA. I've been printing PLA, but I open the door, the windows
Mm.
for good ventilation.
I think one thing about filament is you need to know what filament you need to use,
Mm.
and after how to take care. Like this question from Farah just now, right? How do you take care of your filament? Uh, why do we need to
If you
even take care of our filament, right?
yeah. I actually have a few filament also from office that we have been using it but haven't finished. So it's like months. And I took one back, I think last 2 days. I tried to print, but the result is not good. I didn't keep it here. It's not good. One of the reason is you hear what how to
Popping,
produce
pop,
this
popping
popping,
sound.
then sneezing sneeze.
Mm. Yeah.
It's like
Air bubbles
water.
escaping. Yeah.
Yeah, bubble not water boil up then sneeze.
Yeah.
uh, so that because it absorb a lot of too much moisture. Too much moisture,
It's
that filament absorb too much moisture. So one way to take care of your filament is to wrap it, vacuum. Oh, never haven't finished. Sorry, 12:30. My doctor. asking me when can I finish. So the moisture lah in the filament, we need to prevent the filament from absorbing too much moisture. Once you have too much moisture, when the hot end, when the nozzle melt it, it will combine with the water or moisture, then you pop, then your
The
result is not
print.
good.
Yeah. I
Not
think
good.
this is the biggest problem in Malaysia because of the
Yeah,
humidity.
humidity. Yep.
Very humid. So we need to take care of our filament by storing it in
Yeah.
plastic storage. Zip bag also can actually.
Zip pack. Then you put some silica. Silica is to
Uh,
absorb moisture. Put some
Charcoal
silica
can
inside there.
Cannot.
Charcoal is to absorb smell.
Smelly only cannot absorb
Smelly.
moisture.
Uh,
Okay. All right.
can
Continue.
those kind of what they call it, film remover or humidity remover. Normally they put it at the shoes rack.
Yeah.
That one can also because it also absorb moisture. That one can put inside there.
Let's continue. We have a lot of slides left.
Wow, what software and PC
As you see,
I need to have?
minimum requirement.
But I have been using my normal laptop, my working laptop, this laptop to do all the printing. But I've been using Slicer only. Slicer is the software to change the SDR on 3D model to the G code. Okay. I'm using Cura, and you don't need to really download Cura because Ender 3 inside the SD card comes with a Slicer software. It's actually a different skin of Cura, different version of Cura. So you can still use that, no problem. You can still use that. So in terms of designing 3D parts, 3D model, then it depends on the software that you want. For example, we have SolidWorks because we also design 3D mechanical parts. But SolidWorks need to pay very expensive and it's quite loaded. So one of our colleague actually need to have a very good spec computer or laptop to use the SolidWorks. But for normal, for example, Tinkercad, you can go online, you can design as a 3D model, then download, use Cura or any other slicer software to slice it. So not really high-end PC lah, I would say. Normal laptop,
Normal range.
you can actually do it already. Okay.
Average range. I3 like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next. What can 3D printer print? I think this
I
one
just show you already.
we proceed to the next slides.
Yeah, next slide. So for example, daily usage, you want to print toys that have a lot. Then let's say you are a teacher, engineering student, you can print a model to explain the mechanism of let's say this is engine. There is one guy from YouTube. He actually did a jet engine using 3D printed part.
Yeah, I saw that one
Jet
also.
engine.
I saw that one. The real one.
And it can actually, explode.
It works,
The
yeah.
jet engine can actually work lah. It's not just a model. Okay. So next, we have limited time.
Yeah.
Later, my daughter come in again.
Chemistry application.
Chemistry, you can print a model for this is what table already. Adrian?
Periodic table.
Periodic table. I cannot remember. I just forgot about it. Then the model of your molecules, things like that, to explain to your student, during chemistry class.
Okay. Biology.
Biology, your structure, your bone, your organ. This is hard. Your organ model, you can print it out. I still remember during my secondary school time. The whole school have one lab, or maybe two. But the model of the our skeleton or organ, you still remember only one. But with 3D printer, you can print a lot. You can print a lot.
Yeah. The teeth one, right? The dentist one, they also use 3D printer, right? They use molding last time.
Last time they use molding. Actually,
now
one of my friend dentist last 2 weeks asked me to print a model for her.
they got
I said,
they scan the file and everything they got, right? Normally they have
yeah,
3D
yeah.
scanner.
Nowadays they are, if you want to put what they call they put another teeth lah,
Mm-hmm.
your tooth remove already you want to they what's the name they plant another tooth for you, implant
Yeah.
they need to 3D scan your your arrangement your teeth
Yeah.
arrangement, then where how big things like that yeah.
Actually, that application is like the earliest. They already do this long time ago.
Yeah, but it's not uh, democratized it's not
Mm. It's
that
expensive.
public
Yeah.
uh, that public everyone can access to it
Yeah.
actually so this the biology actually someone did print a this is bladder
Leather. Yeah.
3D print a bladder from the tissue. Okay,
Mm.
so this is taken from Wikipedia lah. Okay,
Yeah.
organ printing. Yeah,
But organ printing, they started quite early. Like at the beginning of
yeah,
3D printing, they already like, I want to do organ already.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
it's quite fun.
architecture, landscape, geography. I think this one we can move faster.
Okay.
Um,
Art.
art, lithophane lithophane just now I show you the guy lithophane. This one is also lithophane Oh, let me try to. I don't know the camera can catch it or not. Cannot. You see a lot.
I can.
But the top actually selamat ID 50. Okay, because the camera is too bright, it can capture it. This is why I changed the brightness a bit. So that's the art lah.
It's like lantern lah.
Yeah, you can actually print lantern. I want to print lantern for Mid Autumn Festival.
More canggih lantern.
Uh, no, you customize your lantern. Lantern.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
Then
continue
music,
first.
history. This is more to architecture also.
Yeah.
Social impact. One of the right hand side is from Kaki DIY, local. They print the face shield. This is the holder. The holder to
Actually,
hold the.
a lot of the hobbies they started printing last year
Yeah,
for
last year.
face shield.
But not this year. This year because the mold come out already. The mold
Yeah.
it's much more faster and cost effective so they stop printing this. Yeah. This is repro. The other one is I cannot remember one of the parts for
Ventilator.
the ventilators. Oh,
Yeah. And then daily usage. You
daily
got a
usage.
lot of this
I got a
SD
lot of
card
this.
holder.
SD card holder.
Yeah. I got
Battery holder.
Yeah, I got battery holder.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically we covered a lot of things today. A bit of overtime, but it's okay. We want to share as much as we can, and this is a recorded session, by the way. You can always go back and rewatch our this session. We answer a lot of questions already. Over you shared a lot also. Just to summarize what we have been doing today, we introduce you what is 3D printer. We share about the top 3 common 3D printing technology, and then Ober also shared the parts of an ender tree, right? The important parts of an ender tree. And then we go through some questions, frequently asked questions, and provided some advice, tips on 3D printing. And in the end, we covered with the application of 3D printing. I see we have a few more questions on the comment section. But I'm going to stop. We are going to answer those questions, don't worry. But I'm going to cover a few more things before we answer your questions. So next week, we still have our Cytrons webinar series, but we will do more on microbit and netcode. So if you have friends or children that you want to learn about microbit, about programming in general, they can join us in our next week's session, same time, 11 to 12. Okay, and then this is our Telegram group. Trust me, you can 3D print. It's a community that we are building here to help people learn 3D printing. If you have a 3D printer and you're worried you will face difficult issues, you can join us. We have a very good community over there. very active communities, actually very active members over there that answers questions and help each other to solve problems. And we also do sharing once in a while. You can scan the QR code here and join. Okay, I'm gonna leave my slides here right now and look at some of the questions that we have. Okay, this is from Aspiracy 7. Is it the same
Yes.
as 3D print? A 3D print. This question earlier
You,
just now.
A- A- Adrian, you did a 3D pen, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago, right?
Yeah. In the previous life, I did. I draw something live with a
Uh,
3D pen. You can check out our live session over there. I can also share the playlist of our Citron series in the Telegram group later. But yeah, it's almost the same. You do check out those videos. I cover more on that. Okay, and then another
is this the
question.
same? Similar, is it right?
It's similar lah, but you minus the machine, the motor part.
Accuracy.
Yeah,
Ah,
your hand is the motor already. You are the motory part
yeah.
already. So your object will be ugly lah.
Yeah, yes, yes.
So this is from Shaman. MacBook boleh kah for 3D printing? Yes, boleh. I use MacBook
Can,
also.
can, can, can. Yeah.
So you can use Cura, you can do SketchUp, you can 3D model using MacBook. All right, and then another question from Diwaga. What are the maximum and minimum size of Ender 3 printer?
Minimum. Maximum is the build, what we call the build size for
Mm-hmm.
Ender 3,
230,
2,
230, 250, I think. Yeah,
yeah,
230, 230
230, 230, 250 mm. Okay,
mm.
mm. So it's like
Max.
23 cm, 23 cm, and 25 cm. 25 cm is the Z, the height.
The height.
Okay, so the X, Y, and the Z.
Okay. All right. So if you have feedback, do drop us your feedback. Let us know what you think about today's session. I know it's a bit lengthy. We overshoot a little bit, but we still want to hear it from you. If you have something that you want to share with us, do let us know. And we will see you soon in the next week's session and also in
Yep.
our Telegram group. Okay. So thank you, Ober,
Thank you,
for
Ron.
sharing today's session. I find it very, you cover a lot of things from all the pictures from all your archive because you experience it yourself in 2 months time, and then you have all the pictures. Actually,
Yeah.
he have more pictures. He have more pictures, but we don't have enough time.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you again, Over, for sharing.
No problem,
And
no problem. Thanks for arranging this. Then thanks for the viewer also for the question.
yeah, and if you have more questions, join us in our Telegram group. Drop your questions there, and we will see you in our Telegram group. We are all there, and we will be
Yep.
able to answer your questions there as well. Okay, so thank you very much, and we will see you again.
Thanks,
All right,
thank you.
thank
Bye.
you. Bye.